La la la, hey, yeah, yeah.
Welcome back to Daytime here on Rogers TV. Well, times, they are a-changin', okay? And with our economic situation, a lot of people think, well, what should I be getting into? What's going to make a difference in the world? Well, specifically, we want to talk about being an entrepreneur. And even more specifically, we want to talk about the impact it will have on young people. And joining us to clear all of this up for us is Majeed Mogharreban. How did I do?
Very good.
Not bad? Okay, Majeed, it's wonderful to have you on the show. And you can call yourself an expert in student entrepreneurship. What do you mean by that exactly?
Well, I'm an expert in student entrepreneurship because I was a student entrepreneur. 5 businesses I started all while I was a student.
Oh, wow. Fantastic. Now, why should we be placing the shift, our focus on this? Why do you say that there has been a shift and that this is the important thing to focus on in our next decade, if you will?
Sure. Well, we all know big economic downturn. A lot of people got laid off. So what are we going to do? Are we going to go to another job that we might get laid off just one day randomly, you get a piece of paper? So what we have to do is depend on ourselves. We have to train ourselves to deliver value, not just work until I get a job, and then it's just, oh, I got a job, I'll just do what I can to not get fired. And then when I get fired, work to get a job again.
Right. I think, you know, the scariest part of this, never mind just for students, but for anybody involved in starting a small business, is that risk factor. There's a fear factor involved. How do people get over that hump?
Well, it's important to know there's no such thing as failure. There's only results. When you try something, you have an expectation. When the outcome doesn't meet that expectation, we call it failure. I call it results. Take a look at, try something, see what happens, learn from that, and try it again. So the idea is reducing your risk, taking small actions and calculated risks that you can learn from and improve and improve. If you're going to throw $100,000 and say, hey, I'm going to give that a shot, well, that's pretty foolish. But if you can try something that's a low cost and see if that works, test it out in the market and improve it and then build.
Okay, now, next thing is to talk about the youth, because, first of all, why is it so important to focus on our youth? Then, how do we get them motivated? Because I can't even get my nephew to get off the couch. Really, when you
That's
think
a good
about,
point.
Sure. Well, I think entrepreneurs, honestly, are saving the world right now. I think they're improving the economy. They're the answer to our problems. They're the people starting the charities, the nonprofits, the businesses that are making these green technologies. So I think that's where we need to focus. The youth have all these resources. They have the community, have the teachers that all want them to succeed. We're teaching them how to get an A on a paper and how to get an A in a class. We should be teaching them how to make a difference in the community.
So how do we do that? Like, where do we send them? Like I said, if I can get my nephew off the couch, what direction do I point him in to help him out?
Well, you said the word before, it's motivation.
Right.
So how do you motivate someone? You can't force them, you can't incentivize them, you can't threaten them. They have to motivate themselves. It has to be from within. So if you can set an example, if you can share a vision of what they can do, what they can become, they'll motivate themselves. What's amazing about what entrepreneurs can do is they can decide their lifestyle.
Right.
So I say start with your passion and start with what do you want your life to look like? Where do you want to live? How much money do you want to make? What time do you want to go to work? And design your business around that. That's what's so cool about entrepreneurship is you design it yourself.
Certainly, great advice, I think, for especially talking about youth and students. Sometimes they have trouble finding out what that passion is. Can you give youth watching right now some tips to find out who they are, what they are, and what sort of passion that they might be interested in?
Sure. There's one test I use to tell passion.
Okay.
It's the speed of time. If you spend an hour doing something and it feels like 5 minutes, you're doing something you're passionate about. If you're spending 5 minutes, it feels like an hour, you're not passionate about it. I used to work at a hardware store and I used to play this game where I'd look at the clock and then I'd wait as long as I could to look at it again. And so one day it was 15 minutes before closing time. I looked at the clock, it was 15 minutes away. I said, okay, I'm going to wait as long as I can. I looked back. It was the same exact minute. I was like, am I in a time warp here? Because I hated that job.
Yeah.
So that's how you tell. Pay attention to how you're feeling and how time is speeding up. And when you just love something so much you do it for free or you even pay to do it, that's what you're passionate about. Don't do the job that you think is a secure job or the market needs this, so I'm going to go do that. Do what you're passionate about. That was my
next question, actually. You mentioned a couple of sectors at the beginning, green technology, this, that, the other.
Sure.
So are you saying that's good advice to follow some of those sectors that are hot right now? Because if they're not passionate, like you said, it doesn't matter, right? What's more important?
Most important thing is passion.
Okay.
But let's not be ignorant of market demands. Let's not be ignorant of competition. So how can I express my passion and what I call is, what's my gift? Okay, what's my gift and how can I bring it to the world as much as possible, as big as possible? Because I say there's only two ways to make more money.
Right.
It's to help more people, numbers, and to help people more, delivering more value. So figure out what your gift is and figure out how you can help as many people as possible, as much as possible.
These are great tips,
Yes.
for sure. And I just realized I can suggest my nephew become a couch tester.
Okay, or maybe a video game programmer.
See?
Huh?
Okay, that's exactly
Right?
it. This is great advice, Majeed. Thank you so much
you,
for coming.
Thank you.
Certainly planted a lot of seeds, I'm sure, out there. You can get in touch with Majeed, and he can certainly help you out and give you advice at his website, majeedmogharreban.com. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back after this. Don't go away.
Thank you very much.
Couch tester?
Couch tester perfectly.